Welcome back to Royals Weekly. I am your host, Marcus Mead, and joining me as always, a robust German puppet masquerading as a real boy, my brother Mike.
Robust is correct. That's a descriptor that's been used on me more than once, I feel like. The old German puppet.
Cheeks.
It's the rosy cheeks.
You often wear very frilly lederhosen and things like that. You know, it's perfect thing for you.
I've been known to slap out a jig or two in my life.
For sure.
You know,
absolutely.
A polka if we must.
If we must, but I want to anyway. So, you know, who knows at this point. Yes. Welcome to Royals Weekly. We're very happy to have you here. On this week's episode, we're going to review a winning homestand for the Royals. They are going to emerge victorious on this homestand, no matter what happens in the game that is currently happening right now. We're going to dig into the starting pitching and its depth as it gets tested with the injury to Cole Ragans. And then we're going to preview this week's games. They have a road trip coming up against Chicago and St. Louis. So we'll preview those two series as well to end our episode here. And then, well, actually we end it with a little special surprise at the end. But if you want to hear more of this excellent Royals analysis, more of this excellent witty banter that we offer, make sure to go ahead and subscribe to the Royals Weekly Substack. royalsweekly.substack.com. $5 a month and you get all this extra content. We do an extra episode every Wednesday that comes out for everybody. Mike does an extra episode every Friday that comes out for everybody. Was an excellent one this week previewing this Tiger series. Wonderful content there. I write an article every Sunday that comes out. Today I dug into Bobby Witt Jr. and what's his name? Kyle Isbell and Nick Lofton and stuff. And so, yeah, we do some deep dive stuff over there on the Royals Weekly Substack. If you'd like a little extra content, if you'd like to just enjoy more podcasts from us, you can always get that there, royalsweekly.substack.com. If you can't do that sort of thing, make sure to rate and review us everywhere you can. Leave us an Apple Podcast review and we'll read it right here on the episode. If you're like, I don't have Apple products, I can't leave an Apple Podcast review, but I want you guys to read my stuff, leave it under a YouTube video and say, I want you to read this. Here's my review. And I'll read it if I feel like it's good enough. So make sure you're leaving those reviews. Make sure you're rating us as much as you can. That really helps us out a bunch. We try and put this out because we love doing it, but it helps us out when you can leave those reviews and those ratings. It really helps people find the show. We'll start the review of last week with roster news, and unfortunately, it was some negative roster news this last week, actually kind of a big negative. The Royals put Cole Ragans on the 15-day injured list with left shoulder impingement. They recalled Stephen Kolek. Oh, sorry, yes, left elbow impingement.
And that's not what they actually called it, though. It was like...
That's what it is on the transaction sheet. That's what they call it on the transaction sheet.
It started with a V. It was something I'd never heard it described that way before.
It's like the valgus, or something. I don't know. They're calling it left elbow impingement. That's what I'm calling it. I don't know my head, shoulders, knees, and toes real well, so I mix up shoulders and elbows a lot. But he's going to be on the IL for at least 15 days. They brought back Stephen Kolek to cover his spot in the rotation. Mike, what are your thoughts on losing Ragans to the IL and having Kolek back in Major League Baseball?
Well, if you read the thing, my worries haven't been alleviated at all, just with a 15-day IL stint and nothing that says, hey, we did some tests and realized it's not that bad. He'll be back soon, because I don't think we've really heard that. And like what we've heard is he got an injection to lubricate the elbow and are hoping that it heals enough that he can then come back and start throwing. And when he starts throwing, we'll know if it's bad enough that he needs to be down for a while. And that's not what I want to hear. I want to hear like, hey, we're on the clear. It's something he can pitch through the season with and get it cleaned up at the end, something like that. But I'm still not in love with the fact that he's only on the 15-day IL, because I'm still scared.
And it's this similar injury that has had Bailey Falter on the IL for the entire season at this point. Like, he's been down for what, a month and a half?
I think he pitched that first week and he's been down since then.
Yeah. And so, that's not something we're hoping for Cole Ragans.
But apparently he is making regular rehab starts now.
He's now in rehab starts. Yeah. And so, if it's got to be somewhat bad, you hope it's only that bad and it doesn't get worse than that.
Scooble. This is what Scooble's down with, guys. And it's 2 to 4 months.
Yeah.
So
we're hoping
basically
that's not the
Scooble's
case.
Is the advanced stage of what he, what Falter has, and Ragans will fall somewhere in there as well.
Yeah, let's hope it's on the lower side of that. We are in wait and see mode right now, but it's going to be a tough row to hoe without him, because as inconsistent as he's been all year, he is your best starting pitcher. When his stuff is as good as it can be. He is as good as a pitcher as there is in Major League Baseball. And he's just, without him for large stretches, they're now pretty much completely depleted in that starting pitching depth. They just don't have a bunch more. We're going to talk about this a lot in our spotlight segment when we focus on it, but without him, it's not like you have that stopper who you can sort of say, there's a good chance he's going to go out and strike out 8 to 10 guys over 5 innings and give us a chance to win, right? Like that was his sort of thing. Yeah. Waka and Lugo are like consistent and you like that. And a lot of times they're going to give you a good chance to win, but he's the guy who's going to go out against a good lineup and really have a chance to say like, I don't care that you're the Yankees. I'm going to sit down 10 of you tonight, right? Like that. He's the only guy who can do that. And so for now, it's going to have to be a bunch of guys who maybe you feel good about their consistency. Maybe you feel good about the fact that they're not going to like give up big 5, 6, 7 run innings, but you don't feel great about their ability when it comes to the really tough lineups to like really shut down or be a stopper for you. The Royals also did a lot on the bullpen pitching side. They brought up and sent down Eric Sarantola in the last week. They did both of those things. They optioned Mason Black back to AAA, and they also brought up Stephen Cruz. Mike, what are your thoughts on all this bullpen reshuffling, moving guys in and out?
Well, Cruz had a strong inning the other night yesterday, and that was positive to see. Hopefully he was able to fix some things when he was down there in AAA, and he can come up and be kind of the guy that we had hoped he would be hey, Stephen Cruz has proven he can get major leaguers out effectively out of the bullpen, but he was not that early. So it's good to see him have that good first outing. I think Mason Black's a guy, hopefully that he'll be back up here at some point, because I think he did provide some stuff for this bullpen value, even if he's the last guy. But it's still very concerning. Like there's still a big concern in this. I don't feel safe with this bullpen still for a lot of the same reasons. And you don't have it on here, but because it may have just happened today. But Estevez is down with a shoulder strain. He's officially on the IL again.
Right.
I think as of today. So
I don't think they put that on the transaction list because I don't think it counted as like a new designation.
Because he was in a rehab start. So
right, he was in a rehab start. So he essentially just stays on the 15-day IL with his shoulder issue. But yeah, not getting him back anytime soon, I don't think.
And so minus him, you're still holding up. I mean, we saw Alex Lang come in when they're down 3 tonight. I think if their bullpen stacked with better guys, he's not coming in if you're only down 3. But they're wore out, and I don't think they got a lot of guys they can count on still.
Yeah, with Cruz, it felt like a very intentional thing to be in the strike zone. You could tell that like he was like, hey, my issues right now are that I'm not being attacking enough in the strike zone. And so he's like, I'm going to stay in the strike zone, let my stuff do the work. And it did plenty of work for him yesterday. And he's back in tonight. He just got put in the game for the Royals right now. They're down 6-3 in the final game of the Tiger series going into the 9th inning, I believe. Michael Massey hit into a double play to end a scoring opportunity there in the bottom of the 8th. And so Cruz is in. He'll get another inning tonight. He did look good in his inning last night. Hopefully he can continue to stay in the strike zone and be a little bit more effective and be a little bit more reliable for that bullpen. Because you're right, they do need additional consistency and reliability in that bullpen. Right now, you don't want to bring Alex Lang in when you're down 3 runs. You don't want to bring in even John Schreiber. You really don't want to bring him in right now when you're in a game. And so, I think they're looking to sort of buy time and get as much effectiveness in here as they can until they're full strength, maybe until Estevez is like back to what he used to be. Don't know if he's going to be that at all this year. Bullpen volatility is guys fall off a cliff sometimes. Like that just happens in bullpens. And so they need all this depth, but they need it to be somewhat effective for them.
I mean, we're going to talk about it for the starters, but that problem is here in the bullpen as well.
It is. And, we saw Sarantola come up and give them, like an inning or 2 in his week-long stretch. His command is so bad. We saw all the command issues that come with Eric Sarantola. Mason Black was a serviceable reliever for them a little bit, but you could also see that he's not the dominant back-end guy, or even with that kind of upside that you would want from it. His upside is middle reliever, right? And so, if he's not pitching to that upside, he's probably going to be a guy who moves up and down a lot. And so right now, they just don't have a ton of answers that make it look like this bullpen is going to be a lockdown bullpen. Doesn't look like that right now. It looks real shaky. And that's something you don't necessarily want to have when you're also staring down the barrel of a rotation that is injured, that is losing some of its depth. On the field last week, it was a kind of a mixed bag for the Royals. They went what looks like they're going to go 4-3 because they're losing this last game of the Tiger series, which will bring their overall record to 19-22, which will probably move them into third place in the AL Central, just below the Chicago White Sox. That's correct. The Chicago White Sox. So we're going to talk during our series preview section at the end. But they had a chance for it to be a much better week. It was a winning week, but they had so many opportunities for it to be a better week. They took the first 2 games of that Guardian series, of that 4-game Guardian series. So it looked like, hey, all they got to do is win one more of these final 2 and they win the series. They lost the last 2 games of that series, and the Guardians get a split before they get out of town. They won the first 2 games of this Tiger series. So they took the Tiger series. That was great. Didn't come through with the sweep today. Noah Cameron didn't pitch great. Offense missed quite a few opportunities. Mike, it's a positive week, but not quite what it could have been. How are you feeling about it?
Well, exactly the way, you described. I'm feeling disappointed, like that left some games on the table in a division that doesn't have its stuff together yet. And so like taking advantage of that and against 2 division opponents as well. So, they went into the back half of that Guardian series really facing, the lefty, Cantillo.
Yeah, he's good.
He's good. But the other guy wasn't great. So you had opportunity there. You have opportunity here.
Slade
the Tigers.
Ciccone, yes.
Yeah. And here it's a bullpen game for the Tigers.
Has been for the last 2 days.
Their starter didn't get out of the first inning. And so,
their starter was a bullpen guy.
Was a bullpen guy. But what I'm saying is he didn't even pitch well enough in that first inning to give them a full inning, guys. You got to take advantage of those opportunities. So it definitely feels like opportunity lost. And, when you compound that with some of the issues we're going to talk about here in a little bit, shaky ground here moving forward as we hit the road.
Yeah. I am especially disappointed in the last 2 games of that Guardian series. Cause in my mind, you can get a win out of one of those, right? Especially the last one. You're facing Slade Ciccone, who has like a 6.5 ERA coming into the game. You're pitching Seth Lugo, right? And you don't come out with a win from that game. That was really disappointing because, Ciccone's a right-hander. There's just so many reasons they should kill Ciccone. They're set up to beat him. Their lineup is better against righties than lefties. Lugo didn't pitch well. Like he got hit around a little bit. It was early, one of those nights where early. Yeah. And so one of those sort of disappointing Guardians types wins where it's like, oh, that should have been a 3-4 series win. I get not beating Cantillo. Cantillo kind of owns the Royals. He's really good against them. They suck against pitchers like him. But Ciccone is the guy they really should have done more against, had opportunities, didn't take them. Right. And then the Risp monster bit him again that game. And it's one of those disappointing. You think about it in terms of numbers. They're trying to get back into a division race here. And it's like game left on the table there, game left on the table there. And you're just like, they keep adding up. They will just keep adding up if they keep missing these types of opportunities because they really need to take advantage of them. Mike, because it was a winning week, we had strong performers. There were plenty of guys to choose from on this. Who'd you choose to point to as a guy who stood out to you this week?
Well, I talked about him on the Mike's Dropped episode on Friday. So it was like, I had to bring him up again because we were texting the other night. And I think with our older brother said, hey, how about Isaac Collins? Isaac Collins has done something to help this team win, seemingly every win they have. And in the last week, he's 5 for 15, 3 runs, 1 double, 1 home run, 2 RBI, 4 walk, and 6 strikeouts. Now that's before tonight because we didn't have the numbers in for tonight. He's not doing great tonight as he has 0 hits and 4 at-bats. But it just feels like every time their offense is producing, he's in the middle of it somehow. Whether it's like a big home run late and I just love that he's kind of really good at a lot of things and great at nothing. I kind of like that. I like that we're finally getting some offense out of left field when we've been begging for it for several years. I mean, his OPS was in the mid 700s coming into today's game. We would have killed for that in the MJ Melendez, Andrew Benintendi days. So Adam Frazier days. So yeah, that's been good to see. Hopefully Isaac Collins can stay in that spot. I was a bit surprised they batted him 4 tonight. So they like what they've seen from him. But I think when he's at the bottom of the lineup, I think he's really going to do some big things with Garcia and Witt coming in 1 and 2.
Yeah, that makes a bunch of sense. Speaking of Witt, I went with Witt as my strong performer because boy, did he have a week last week. It was incredible. And in fact, as of this morning, and I mentioned this in my Substack post, Bobby Witt Jr. leads the Major League Baseball in F-WAR coming into today. And it probably hasn't changed because he did pretty well today in today's game, statistically anyway. He went 9 for 23 last week with 2 doubles, 3 home runs, 4 RBI, 2 walk, 3 strikeouts, and 2 stolen bases. And then to get today's game so far anyway, he is 2 for 4 with a run scored. And so talking about a guy who is starting to look like the superstar that he is, it's not on the back of like pulling the ball as much as I had hoped or thought it would be, which means honestly, there's probably still a little bit left in there potential wise. But what we're seeing from him, Mike, what did we ask for from Bobby Witt Jr. for many years? We asked walk more, Bobby. Take more pitches, walk more, stop swinging at so many bad pitches. Now he's chasing just as much as he always has, maybe even a little bit more, but he's also taking walks. He's at the highest rate he's taken walks in his whole career. It's over 10% his walk rate right now. And you can see it in some of his at-bats where they're intentionally trying to pitch around him because Vinny Pasquantino has struggled so much. They want to get to Pasquantino. Rather than chasing a bunch of garbage like he would previously, he just takes his walk and he goes to first. That is the most dangerous thing you can do in that situation. The most poor decision you can make in that situation is to try and swing at all this edge stuff and outside the strike zone sliders and sweepers they're going to throw you. Instead, just take your walk and go to first. He's been doing that a lot more this year, and it's creating a little bit more value offensively, especially in this last week. I'm very interested to see if he starts triggering sooner and pulling balls a little bit more, right? Like, especially with guys on base. Tonight we saw Maikel Garcia get on base in like the 7th inning, maybe 6th or 7th inning. And the Royals are down 3 runs. Bobby swings at the very first pitch, which is like a slider or sweeper way outside, misses it by 6 miles. And then he gets a pitcher's pitch down and in and hits into a double play. It's one of those situations where I'm like, you're over anxious. You're trying to do too much here. Slow down. You can just take it. Like with guys on base, his approach seems to change a little bit. And he starts to get back into his aggressiveness, fall back into the like, I'm going to be a hero. I'm going to swing. I'm going to drive this run in. And it's like, they know that you're trying to do that. And they're going to throw you sliders and sweepers to start because you're way too aggressive. Right. Like, and so if he can get past that hurdle, I think he can start triggering sooner and maybe start pulling the ball a little bit more.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, though, made kind of us look like fools here because we were talking, I don't know, a little while back when he was struggling a little more with the power. We were saying Bobby Witt Jr. needs to pull the ball. And this last week, I think he hit 2 to right center.
Right. Well, no, like, one of those home runs is an inside the, I'm going to put this in quotes.
No. I think, and this might be in the last 2 weeks, he has hit 2 legit ones to right center.
Right. He has.
That's on top of the
never going to be his best
completely
route
agree.
To hitting for power.
Completely agree.
He's always going to have to pull the ball more. Right. Like Mike, not everybody was on top of their game last week. Who is driving our struggle bus?
Well, the guy who was driving our offensive bus last week for me, he was my strong performer last week. El Capitan, Salvador Perez, did not bring a whole lot to the plate with him this week. 2 for 21 with a 1 run scored, 0 extra base hits for your 4 hitter, and 4 RBI, 2 walks, and 8 strikeouts. Yeah, this offense will never get above middling until he and Vinny Pasquantino can consistently hit the ball in the middle of this lineup. And we've been patient. We need it. We need some help here. We need, again, you and I have stated we would love to see him not hitting fourth when he's as inconsistent of a hitter as he is, but we definitely need some help to stabilize the offensive production for this team.
Yeah. Also, I'm going to stick with the catching position to talk about my weak performer, and that is Carter Jensen. He's had a rough go of it lately. And I don't think it's a coincidence that corresponds with the fact that he's been catching a lot more lately. I don't know when the last time Salvador Perez caught was, honestly. And so you're seeing Carter Jensen catch a lot more. He's struggling quite a bit more offensively. He's 3 for 17, 1 double, 2 walks, 7 strikeouts. Not where he wants to be. He wants to be hitting more extra base hits. He wants to be striking out a lot less than that, I'm sure. Almost hit a home run. What was it, today?
Today, yeah.
It was today.
It'd be a sack fly on the warning track.
Yeah, almost hit a 3-run home run today, so hopefully that gets his confidence going in some ways. But he needs they need him, and they need Jack to sort of be picking up the slack and carrying the baton now that Salvador Perez might be or definitely is in the twilight of his career. It's going to be up to Carter Jensen. It's going to be up to Jack Caglione to pick up that offensive production and run with it, especially if Perez doesn't pick it up at all. Like at some point, one of these slumps will just be Salvador Perez's last slump, right? Like it'll just be the end, right? And so they need him. They need him to sort of pick it up offensively. The offense has come to rely on him a lot, and so hopefully he can do that sometime in the next week. I'm not hugely worried, but I am a little bit worried about workload for him because he is catching so much. Mike, with what happened last week, a sort of week of good news, but also could have been better. What's your theme for the week?
I went with just an absolute classic of the 90s hip hop scene, I guess you would say. Everybody's heard it. It's from that great, I assume they're a one-hit wonder because I've never heard any other song by them, House of Pain. Okay. The song is called, I believe it's just called Jump. Jump. I have karaoke'd this at least one time in my life. I can say that.
Of course you have.
Or no, it's called Jump Around. The song's called Jump Around.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm not going to say one of the words in here because it's a curse word. And I ain't going out like no punk B word. Okay. Get
Not
used to
on
one
Mother's Day.
style, and I might switch it up and around. Okay. So the Royals ain't going out like no punk B words. All right. They are getting after it. They're working to turn this thing around. It's been good to see a week where they were winning again. Still feels like there's some in the tank though. So we're going to switch it up and around, hopefully. And they're going to have to, they're going to be forced to by some of the things that are happening. But that's what the week felt like for me. I ain't going out like no punk B word.
Absolutely not. Love the little House of Pain reference. I think everybody's danced to this at like a wedding or something, right? Like
played at sporting events quite a bit too.
Yeah. Played at sporting events. I wonder when they wrote it, if they thought like, hey, people.
Hey, that guy had another hit. Remember?
Yes, he did. That guy
had
another hit album. That whole album was a hit. It was a really critical and commercial success. And so, yeah, good for him. I'm going with a movie quote that it's come to my mind today as I was thinking about this, thinking about the notion of like, oh, what it's like to just miss out on opportunities. It's so aggravating. And acted by, I forget the guy's name, but like wonderfully by this, I think it's Michael Gambon actually is his name, who plays Albus Dumbledore in the Harry Potter movies, the last 4 or 5, 6, I don't know exactly. But in the fourth one, Goblet of Fire, he says, but every time I get close to an answer, it slips away. It's maddening, right? Like, and I love the way he puts it. Like he really expresses the frustration of having something right there on the cusp of great and then slips out of your hand. I feel like that might be what the Royals experienced a little bit last week. Good to get a winning week, but tough to not take a few more games from last week. Royals Weekly is brought to you by Eric Oxer of West USA Realty. Word spreading about the hottest realtor in the Phoenix area. The kid's got the know-how. He's got the drive. He's got the thoughtful care to help you secure your dream retirement home. And let's face it, Phoenix is a dream. Sun, golf, baseball.
You can watch a PGA event and an MLB event in the same day.
That's a lot of sunscreen, but hey, it's worth it. Eric Oxer ranked in the top 3% of agents in all of Arizona for the first quarter of 2026. Why? Because for Eric, it's not about him. It's about you. He's going to spend day and night grinding to find you the house of your dreams and get you the best price for it.
He's a masterful negotiator. He got me to trade him my car for half a Doritos Locos taco. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's a good taco.
You thought you'd won that one too, which is
I had to take the bus, but it was eating a taco on that bus. So
yeah,
who's the winner now?
Yeah. Find Eric Oxer of West USA Realty online at ericoxer.com. That's ERICKAUXIER.com. Or just give him a call or shoot him a text at 480-383-9745. That's 480-383-9745. Be wise. If you're ready to make the move, let Eric make the experience all about you. The Royals starting pitching is their cornerstone, but that stone is getting tested a bit with the injury to their top starter, Cole Ragans. His injury is complicated by previous injuries to depth starters Ryan Bergert and Ben Caderna. As it stands, Stephen Kolek will fill in for Ragans, but that means that the starting pitcher well is pretty dry at this point. Mike, the starters have been good this season, pretty good. They have the 10th best starter ERA in Major League Baseball. Are you starting to worry at all that the depth is getting a little bit shallow?
Yes, sir, I definitely am. As you described it, it's for multiple reasons. I think at the beginning of the year, we thought, well, you know, as long as if a starter goes down or two starters go down, we're so deep, it's not a big deal. We didn't know we'd be getting it from both sides, you know? Mm-hmm. And maybe the side that worries me more is the fact that Bergert has gone down, Caderna has gone down. And after that, there's not a lot to go to that you really feel a lot
gone down.
Falter. Yeah. I forgot about him. Geez. And so there's not a lot to go to in that well of starting pitcher who you feel like consistently can make you competitive. And yeah, it's bleak. We're going to get into it here in a second, but that's really bothersome for me. And it's probably more worrisome on the bottom side for me because I believe in Stephen Kolek so much, because I've liked him so much and, you know, been like on the Kolek wagon. I liked what he did for us last year a lot at the end of the year. I'm like, okay, well, he fits perfectly there. We can sit him in there. But now you've got 5. And beyond that, without Bergert, without Caderna, it's such a shallow pool after that. We didn't think that we thought we were sitting there going, the Royals might be winning and trade Chris Bubich at the deadline. Do you think that's still a case? That could never happen now.
That's not even
on the table.
The only way they trade Bubich now at the deadline is if they're so far out of it. Like that's the only way Bubich gets traded at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough. And I will give you an update, a final here. The Royals have lost game 3 of that Tiger series 6-3. So that has happened. Yeah, it's a concern. It's a big concern. Nobody should probably feel good about it. I mean, obviously, why would you feel good about injuries and stuff like that? But the depth is now gone, basically. With the injuries to Bergert and Caderna, the depth is now gone. And so you still have Falter. He's going to come back probably sometime soon. You still have Kolek. That's good. But Ragans is down. So you're thin now, really, in the starting rotation. Part of this also concerns me because Noah Cameron just missed a start. He also hasn't looked great this year. He didn't look great tonight. And, you know, that always concerns you. He had one really good year last year, but he did outperform his secondary numbers quite a bit. He, you know, is not so established as a starter that you feel really good about anything he's ever going to do. And he's reliant on keeping his fastball velocity high enough to make it playable, right? And then you also have Seth Lugo and Michael Wacha, who, let's face it, they aren't young men. They're great. They're established veterans. It's great to have them. But the older you are, the more likely you are to get hurt a little bit, right? Like, and so
I think what you're saying is they've bought their fair share of icy hot and have been to bed before 8:30 before in their life.
Probably every night for one of them, I imagine. Like, and so, yeah. And so, you know, Mike and I know what it's like to get up into that age. We're there right now. And, you know, I can tell you, we're not professional athletes, but it hurts sometimes to get up in the morning. And so I'm sure they wake up feeling less than 22 years old at this point. And so not those two, but also Bubich. Bubich has an extensive injury history. And so you always worry that could crop up again. And so it's tough to sort of, because this pitching staff generally has an injury history, generally has some markers of guys you worry about. You can't really feel good about where the starting pitching depth is right now. Mike, I know Kolek is your boy. Stephen Kolek.
You know he is.
I've never met anybody so on the Stephen Kolek bandwagon, except for maybe
I started the fan club last year. So
yeah, maybe his mom is more on it than you, but like, you know, other than that,
Sheila, wonderful woman.
Wonderful woman.
She's a saint. All right.
Mike, do you think that he can carry the weight of filling in for Cole Ragans?
I do. I think that he can. I think you can't expect him to dominate good lineups. Like you said earlier, Ragans might be the only guy in our starting rotation who can dominate a good lineup. Michael Wacha can keep you competitive against one. So can Seth Lugo. Cole Ragans can go out there and look like a shutdown pitcher against a really good team. Stephen Kolek's not going to be able to do that. Ragans can do that. Kolek won't, and their styles are so different as well. And, you know, he's a righty, but don't expect him to be that and say, when we put him out there, is he going to give us an opportunity to win consistently? I think that is Stephen Kolek. I think you can do that. And, you know, in Major League Baseball, when you got 5 starting spots, I think any team would say, hey, give me a consistent chance to win. You don't have to be Cole Ragans.
You don't. And what's interesting is he might actually offer the opportunity to get a little bit more consistency than we've seen from Ragans this year.
The volatility may not be as much.
Yeah. Ragans hasn't been overly consistent. He'll go out and have a great 6-inning start one day and then go out and give up 4 runs in 3 innings the next. And it's a very sort of up and down things from Ragans this year. And Kolek hopefully gives you the opportunity, because he's like a ground ball pitcher, because he's not like a big time strikeout trying to get guys to chase guy. He can go out and have really good looking outings, like good stat lines, but it's not going to be the type of dominance that you see from a Cole Ragans. And that's okay. Right. What you need from a starter sometimes is just to go out and only give up 2 or 3 runs over 6 innings, give your team a chance to win every 5th day. Like if you can get that from him, great, because as a guy who's your 6th starter now and filling in for your ace, all you really want, let's say he's got to pitch 4 times before Ragans comes back, or 5 times. You just want 4 or 5 chances to win ball games. That's all you really want. If the offense doesn't score enough, that's on the offense. If the bullpen blows the lead, that's on the bullpen. But if your starter comes in, gives you a quality start, you have a chance to win a ball game. And I think he can give them quite a few quality starts out there. Mike, hate to have to think about this, honestly, but what are the Royals options if another one of these starters goes down? If they come out tomorrow and say, Noah Cameron's just kind of hurt, we need to put him on the 15-day IL, what are their options?
Cry in the corner. Is that an option?
I mean, I always take that option, typically.
Sell the team. Can we do that? Can we just get out of this whole baseball thing? Isn't what's it called? The paddle ball game? Pickleball. Thank you. Isn't pickleball more of the fad now anyway? No, I think you probably have to go to Mitch Spence just because he's thrown for you in Major League Baseball this year already. He has experience starting. He's been kind of a swing guy as part of his repertoire in the past, but boy, that's how many games do you want him starting for you in a row? And not a lot, me anyway. I'd rather not. The other guy, I went down there and I kind of looked at Omaha's starting rotation. The other guy I saw was just Ben Sears. I'm like,
he's starting some, but it's more like as a reliever, I think. So.
Exactly. Ethan Bosacker. Is that who you want?
You don't want Ethan Bosacker.
You don't want any of them.
So no,
I just put Ben Sears' name up here because like he's still with the team. Like I didn't realize he was still in the organization. We've been talking about that guy for 20 years.
Spence is probably their number one option if that happens. Falter is obviously an option when he's ready to come back, which he probably is pretty close to ready to come back, if not ready. And so he might be an option if they have to do something like that. Spence is an option. Luinder Avila is obviously an option. I don't think it's an option they love just because the command issues are tough to live with. And then maybe, and this is like break class in case of emergency, maybe they decide to stretch Daniel Lynch back out since he's having some success in the bullpen and be like, hey, we need somebody who can go 4 or 5 innings for us. Will you give us 4 or 5 innings every 5th day? And then we'll make it work from there. That might be an option if things continue to get worse in terms of starting pitcher attrition, because they got to get creative when you get down to the nitty gritty, like can't do a bullpen. I mean, you can do a bullpen game every 5th day. We've seen them do that, but like, I don't think they want to go there unless they have to.
And like go down and like look at beyond AAA or really even in AAA, like who's the next guy you go, okay, that's somebody who has a future on the team even. I don't know. You got to go down to AA. Like you do. You're talking,
I mean, Drew Beam's down in AA, but he hasn't pitched tremendously.
No. Your boy's down there too.
Who?
Oh gosh,
not Zobak.
Can't remember his name. Yeah, Zobak's down there.
Is he? Is he pitching right now? I don't even know if he's pitching right now.
Oh, I don't know if he is either. I just saw that he had a AA designation.
I think he's hurt too. Honestly,
man, yeah. So.
There's such a huge gap. He hasn't pitched yet in 2016, 26 or 2026. Yeah.
There's such a huge gap though between like those guys we thought is like, hey, ready for Major League Baseball at the beginning of the year. Your Burgerts, your Koleks, possibly Cadurna at some point. And then the next wave of Royals pitchers is all in A ball, like low A.
They got some guys at high A.
Is Shields at high A?
Shields is at high A. Who else?
We're going off on a
tangent.
Lampkin.
They got Justin Lampkin. That's okay.
Oh
yeah.
Minor league tangent here.
But yeah, sorry. And for those of you who like minor league stuff, yeah, we're talking about that right now. But yeah, it's going to be tough if they decide if anything more happens to this starting rotation, because they just don't have the depth to really handle more of it. Yeah, I'm looking at the AA pitching staff right now, and it's not something we really want to dig into. Mike, if the rotation can't hold up, do you think that the Royals have what it takes offensively and in the bullpen to cover that up?
Yeah, the short answer is no, I do not. I don't think that they have, not to consistently win series. That doesn't strike me as something they're going to be able to do. If that rotation takes a step back, I think you're going to see the record take a step back. In the last month, they're 16th in runs scored. That's the good month they've had offensively. Okay. It was worse before that. They're also 14th in weighted runs created plus with a 101. So slightly above average. You know, that's not something that says carry a team to me, you know, and I don't think if you polled Royals fans right now and said, hey, are you confident in your bullpen? I don't think you'd get a whole lot of positive responses for that, you know? So not that, and that's the thing. It's not even that they haven't performed lately, because the bullpen has done pretty well lately. But if you're a real Royals fan and you look at the talent of those guys in that group, I think there's some lacking in talent in that group, you know, lacking of like real roles or guys that fit roles real well. Like Matt Strahm is your 8th inning guy. I don't know if that's what I want right now. So yeah, a lot of questions, I think, for both that offense and the bullpen. So let's please not need it so that they need to carry this team. Ooh, that's going to be bad.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think they could patch things up for a while, but sustained lack of production from the rotation will pretty much spell doom for this team, because offensively they can't score enough to make up for that. They can't lock down the bullpen like Cleveland last year and like the year before that. They could have a starter go 4 innings, turn to this amazing bullpen, and just lock a game down for a while. The Royals don't have that. If they have to expose that bullpen too much, they're in trouble. And the offense is always a question mark as to whether or not it will take advantage of its opportunities. Mike, what household chores do you refuse to do?
Window cleaning, pressure washing, and most importantly, gutter cleaning.
And why is that?
Spend my weekend washing windows, or my weekends crushing cores and going to boat shows? That's a tough choice.
If you're wise like Mike, reach out to the professionals at Window Wolf for all your window cleaning, gutter cleaning, and pressure washing needs. Window Wolf is a locally operated small business with all the professional know-how to keep your feet on the ground and your house or business shining bright. I've known the owner of Window Wolf for years, and I can tell you there's no one more reliable for high-quality service. Plus, Window Wolf is revolutionizing home maintenance with their new instant price calculator, which gives you a free quote without a home visit or entering a bunch of your personal information. Window Wolf is making the process easy and the price affordable. And for a limited time only, you can get 50% off when you book using their instant price calculator. Just visit windowwolf.com. That's windowwolf.com, and use the code Royals50. That's Royals50, no spaces, when using that instant price calculator, and save big bucks on quality service.
Saving money means more cores and more stuff for my imaginary boat that I can't afford.
Who knows? You get a big enough discount, you afford that boat. You know, We'll get you a little one to start. I feel like you need a starter boat. Be smart. Let the pack handle your pains with Window Wolf. It's a Midwest road trip to a couple of drivable destinations this week for the boys in blue. We're not going very far at all, though I'm sure they're going to fly because, you know what, you got the plane right there. It's like, have you ever flown from Kansas City to St. Louis?
No.
I have.
No.
It's like 40 minutes, 45 minutes long. You go up, you hit your altitude, and you come right back down again. It's very interesting.
Awesome.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
although they're not going to fly.
I've gone to Chicago.
They'll fly Kansas City to Chicago, then to St. Louis. I imagine the St. Louis to Chicago flight is basically the same. And so, yeah, we'll see on that one. But they're going to first head to the home state of Honest Abe for a 3-game series against the Southside Chicago White Sox, who are currently leading them in the AL Central. Second in the AL Central, they are. Then they're going to shoot down the I-55 to St. Louis for a 3-game set against the in-state rivals, the St. Louis Cardinals, who we all hate. Everybody knows that. Mike, tell us about the surprisingly not awful White Sox, and I'm going to update their record for you right now.
Thanks, man. Yeah, the surprisingly not awful Chicago White Sox did something smart finally. They signed that feller out of Japan, was it?
I think it's Japan.
That feller can hit. And I think he's third in MLB in home runs right now, if I'm not mistaken. He's got like 16 home runs or something. It's gonna be an interesting series. We're gonna have Stephen Kolek, my boy, go versus Eric Fetty in Game 1 there. It'll be he's a 33-year-old righty out of UNLV with a 3.79 ERA and a 1.13 WHIP. I believe we saw Fetty in our first series against the White Stockings. He's gonna lead with a sweeper. He's got a cutter that's 89 to 90, a sinker that's 93 to 94, a changeup, and a 4-seam fastball. He throws that sweeper a ton at 37.8%. You don't often see that. That's pretty unorthodox. Low strikeout numbers, just 15.5 on the strikeout rate, and relies, generally speaking, on weak contact. He's a soft contact righty, Eric Fetty is, but we saw him not so long ago, so hopefully that familiarity helps out. Game 2 is the one I'm interested in, and I think Mark's interested to see it too. It's going to be Seth Lugo versus Noah Schultz, a rookie that I think both of us liked in the draft. I know Alex Duvall, guest on our show, really liked Noah Schultz. He's a 22-year-old lefty out of Oswego East High School in Illinois. 4.68 ERA so far this year in just 5 games, a 1.32 WHIP. He's got a 95 to 96 mile per hour 4-seam fastball, a sweeper, a sinker, a cutter, and a changeup. Right now, he's walking a really high percentage of guys at 15.1 and not striking out the numbers you would expect from him. That was, he's a power first round-ish arm, 21.7% strikeout rate there. Huge split for him against righties and lefties too. He's killing lefties with a .125 weighted on base average, and righties are getting him at 339 weighted on base average. So we will see Noah Schultz. I'm excited to see him. I've never seen him. I haven't seen him pitch since we looked at him in the draft.
I'll tell you who we'll also see. We'll see Nick Lofton in that lineup. We'll see name a right-hander. We'll see Sterling Marte in that lineup. We'll see we'll see every righty they have. I'd be shocked. Vinny Pasquantino might get a day off here. Like they're not gonna hit a lot of lefties in that game.
And in Game 3, then it's Chris Bubich, but we don't know who will be pitching for the White Sox. So I guess we'll see on that one.
After that, they're headed off to St. Louis to look at the Arch and maybe eat some terrible pizza. Here we go. St. Louis is 23-16. That's good enough for second in the NL Central. Every team in the NL Central has a winning record. That division is very good so far this year. But the Cardinals are keeping pace. They're doing quite well so far this year. Offensively, they have a 104 weighted runs created plus as a team. That's good enough for 9th in Major League Baseball. They're getting an excellent season from Jordan Walker, who they've been waiting to sort of come around and really start producing up to his level of prospect pedigree that he had. And he is really doing it so far this year, getting plenty of power out of that bat. Also getting a great year from Ivan Herrera. I hope I pronounced that correct.
The kid from Texas.
I think is that him? No, I don't think that's him. No. I don't think that's him. 144 weighted runs created plus for him. Alec Burleson also having an excellent year at 123 weighted runs created plus. They have a deep lineup. JJ Weatherholt is also hitting quite well. He's their big rookie this year, second baseman, and so we'll get to see him as well. Decent offense from them, real deep. The pitching staff has not been quite as good for the Cardinals. They are 19th in Major League Baseball with a 4.31 ERA. They're getting a really good season out of the starter. They have Michael McGreevy. He's got a 2.18 ERA, but everyone else's ERA is over 4 in that starting rotation. Matthew Liberators is 4.08. Andre Pillant, his is 4.34. The bullpen real mixed as well. And so chance to maybe score some runs in St. Louis. Hopefully the Royals offense can do so. And maybe their pitching staff can hold that powerful lineup down a little bit. Royals Weekly is brought to you by All In Physical Therapy, who don't just offer the best in physical therapy in Kansas City, they also offer the best in summer speed and conditioning programs for youth athletes who want to make big gains this summer.
If Usain Bolt and Andre the Giant had a baby, they'd want to go to these speed and conditioning camps at All In.
Yeah. If your child is interested in getting the most out of their athleticism, check out videos of All In's summer speed and conditioning programs on their Instagram feed. And of course, All In always offers the best in physical therapy for post-surgery and athletic injury patients. They offer a personalized one-on-one experience to meet your specific therapy goals.
Get those deltoids and rhomboids working again.
Is rhomboids a thing? I thought I might have made that up.
It feels a little made up to me.
Okay, yeah. It might be made up. Don't quote me on that one. Learn more about how All In Physical Therapy can get your body back on track at allin-pt.com. That's ALLIN-pt.com. Or just give them a call. They're very nice people. 816-427-5300. That's 816-427-5300. All In Physical Therapy, your recovery goals are their number one priority. We'll end this week's episode like we end every episode with the Just a Bit Outside segment, where we talk about something that's interesting to us outside the world of baseball. We got a lot going on all the time. People seem to like this segment, I guess. I used to think that they hated it, but we get lots of compliments on it now. Mike, a lot going on. What's going on in your world?
Oh, so many things. I had like the busiest weekend of all time. All in service of a wonderful, wonderful holiday. I was pampering my wife all weekend. You know, giving her all the stuff she wanted, serving her breakfast in bed, doing her chores for her. We took her out to Powell Gardens. So I want to give a big shout out, big happy Mother's Day to all the mothers and mother figures out there who take care of all of us. You're looking at two young men who were raised by a single mother who we care about deeply. Did you call mom today?
I texted her a very long text message.
Okay. I had her over on Friday and I texted her today. No big deal. Am I winning the competition of son? Probably.
I'm driving her to New York. So, so I win.
Good point. So that's the Mother's Day thing. Want to shout out all the mothers. My wife is a great mother. So we made sure she had a great weekend. The other thing I want to talk about, this is kind of a bonus here, is the show Phineas and Ferb. Have you ever seen it?
I haven't. I've heard of it, but I've
okay. So like I have a 4-year-old, Mark's nephew, and you know, we're always looking for stuff to watch and he always wants to find something new. And it's like, okay. So we stumbled across this the other day and I'm watching it. And sometimes I just like space out into my phone when I'm watching his shows, because some of them I just can't handle. And I'm like laughing. I'm like, this is kind of hilarious. And at one point I realized, like, not only is it extremely clever, because a lot of times if something is really funny for me, it's not appropriate necessarily for my son.
That's Mike's level of humor. It's
not
all
like I don't have super crude humor.
Gutter stuff,
4, you know? So like, yeah. You know, but I'm going, man, none of this is crude and it's funny. But then I started to realize that like, maybe this show isn't even written for kids. Was this written for somebody? Because it seems like a lot of times, if you ever watched, you've heard of the show Bluey.
Yes.
Bluey is definitely a kid's show, but there are jokes kind of thrown in there for the adults watching with the kids, right? It feels like Phineas Ferb is the other way around. It's like, this is an adult show. I mean, there's like punk rock in this because they do like a song in every episode. I was listening to one today. I'm like, this is close to metal music, right? And it's like intense. And it feels like it was an adult show, a cartoon written for the humor of adults, but it's got kid stuff in there and it never crosses any sort of boundary. I'm like, whoever writes this show needs an award. If they haven't won one, somebody get these people an award.
You're like, we're watching a lot more Phineas and Ferb, Lincoln.
And he loves it now too, because Dad laughed. So, you know, he's like all obsessed with the show now.
That's good. All right. Now you guys can do that together. That's fun.
More television with your kids, people.
Yeah, that's what we really need. Screens. They need more screens. Have the TV raise your kid. I'm going to throw out a happy Mother's Day shout out. Mine's going to be my themes, or my just about outside is going to be Mother's Day theme too. First off, as Mike mentioned, we were raised by a single mother, a wonderful human being, the most wonderful human being in my mind, greatest mother of all time. I'm just throwing that out there. You can all have your opinions on your mothers too, but like mine is the best. And so, so happy Mother's Day to her. I know she listens to the show. That's how good of a mother she is. And so, one thing I want to say is in tune with that is the gift that I'm getting my mother is I'm going to buy her a round of golf on this vacation that we're taking together, right? Like my mother and I are about to road trip to Cooperstown, New York, where the Baseball Hall of Fame is. And we're going to golf all along the way. So it's like a golfing road trip. We'll stop and play golf at these various places on the way there. We'll stop and play golf on the way back. She likes to golf. I like to golf. We're going to go out and golf together. And it's one of these things that she and I have actually taken several vacations together before. We went to New Orleans together. We went to London together. And I can't stress enough that if you have a really good relationship with your mother, it's fun to take vacations with her. I feel like sometimes I tell people I'm going on a vacation with my mother and they're like, weird. And I'm like, it's not weird because we're buds and we hang out and we play golf
our
together.
mom's exceptionally cool, though.
She is exceptionally cool. She is very, very cool. And so
she's just a good hang.
She is a good hang, and she likes to vacation in similar ways to me. Like we go out and we do activities and stuff like that, but we don't have to cram every second of every day with something. And so like we rest quite a bit when we're on vacation too. And, we're out in nature a lot because she likes to do that. And I like to do that. We have very similar sensibilities about what vacation should include. And so I'm getting really, really excited for that. Tried to make tea times on Friday. I was so excited. I'm like, I want to go make the tea times right now. It's too early. They won't let you make the tea times this early. But we're going to have a ton of fun. I encourage you, if you think about it, it will make your mother's day or week or whatever to go ahead and say like, hey, let's plan a trip together and just go do it. Even if it's just like a weekend or something. Tons of fun. And it's something I really enjoy. So I'm excited for that. That's all we have for you this week. Please tune in again next week. Make sure you go and subscribe to that Royals Weekly Substack too, royalsweekly.substack.com. You'll get an episode from us on Wednesday if you do. If not, we'll be back again next Monday. Until then, be good to each other.
And go Royals.